In the SolarPicnic, we're going to make hot dogs in a solar oven. We're going to make sun tea. And then we're going to make ice cream in a bag. We're going to perform all of these activities without a lot of step-by-step description. But then at the end, we'll come back and describe the science involved with all the parts. Let me get my students up here to help me. Laura, Melvin. The first step in making the solar oven is to cover the box with aluminum foil on the inside, making sure that the shiny side of the foil is out. Okay, the next thing is we want to take the skewers. They're right there. Now those are made from coat hangers. I've already cut them for you. And there should be a hole right here at the end of the box. We make the hole with the point of the scissors. You've got to be careful in putting the scissors through the box so you won't cut yourself. Okay. The next step is to skewer the hot dog. Hold the hot dog in your gloved hand if desired. Some students just don't like to touch them, even if they've washed their hands previously. Be careful in using the skewer to make sure that it passes through the center of the hot dog so that the hot dog will turn to cook evenly on all sides. Put some clear wrap across the top of the box to keep out insects and to hold in heat while the hot dogs are cooking. Tape may also be used to hold the clear wrap in place to keep the wind from possibly blowing it away. When you place the box in the sun, be sure to orient the box for the best exposure so that the hot dogs will not get into the shade. The hot dogs should be cooked in about an hour. The next part of the SolarPicnic is the sun tea part. We're going to take tea and make it by using the sun to cook it with. You should first start with a gallon jar of clean, cold water. Place 4 tea bags inside the jar and keep the 4 tags off the strings on the outside to be held under the cover. The tea will probably be completed in about 4 hours. It should be a dark color when it's ready for drinking. We'll add the sugar after we get finished. Adding the sugar then is much more efficient because the sugar does not dissolve well in cold water, but when the water's nice and warm like it will be, it'll dissolve right away. This third part of the SolarPicnic involves making ice cream in a plastic bag. I've got Leslie and Laura here to help me. Let's get started. Ladies, the first thing we're going to do is to put 300 milliliters, or about 1 1/4 cups of milk, in our smaller plastic bag. Then we add about 100 milliliters of cream or evaporated milk into the bag. Next, add the flavoring. In our case, we use vanilla, but chocolate or strawberry syrup may be substituted if desired. The last ingredient in the smaller bag is sugar. Anywhere from 100 to 150 milliliters of sugar should be used. Be careful to seal the small bag carefully. Place the small bag aside while we put the ingredients into the larger bag. Add ice cream salt in the large bag. About 1 cup will do to start. Now we're going to start adding ice. Okay, now we'll put the ingredients in. Layer the ice around the bag containing the ice cream ingredients. That should be fine. We're going to put some more salt in now. About half a cup. And that's fine. Put that on the top. Okay. Good job. Okay. Now, this time I want to get the air back out again like we did before. After the outer bag is sealed carefully, the bag should be tumbled back and forth continuously for about 15 minutes, or until the ice cream mixture begins to feel thicker. The student should wear loose-fitting rubber gloves to handle the bag, for it will be well below 0 degrees Celsius. Be sure to rinse the inner bag off with clean water after it is removed from the saltwater bag. Okay, we're now going to conclude the solar picnic by talking about a little bit of the science involved in each part. First, we had the solar oven. Let me ask a question. Why would we use a solar oven instead of using a microwave or your regular oven at home? Anybody have a good reason for that?
To save energy.
To save energy, that's right. We live in a period in which we are using up fossil fuels rapidly. And it's going to become important to you for us to change and save fossil fuels as much as possible. The sun's free. So all the sunlight that we use to cook things with and do other tasks will save fossil fuels for you and your children. Okay? When we took this outside, it took a lot longer. Right? It took a lot longer than putting it in the microwave, but that's some of the sacrifices you have to make in order to save those resources. Let's think about the sun tea for a moment. Notice the color change that we had here. What did it look like when we put it in the jar?
It was clear.
That's right, it was clear. What has happened to it, Laura?
It's gotten darker.
Okay, now if you measure the temperature, when we put it in there, it was room temperature. About 70 degrees or about 15 degrees Celsius. Now, however, it's much warmer than that. Why is it warmer? What about that, Leslie?
Because the darker color in the tea helps to absorb the sun, and the sun acts as a stove to heat the tea up.
Perfect, perfect. We have a process called diffusion that has occurred. We had a high concentration of tea inside the tea bag, and outside the water molecules began to spread that tea from the high concentration down to the lower concentration. And as it spread, the tea got darker, and as it got darker, the sun caused it to get hotter. So hotter made it get darker, and darker made it get hotter. We now have our sun tea, and it didn't cost us anything to heat that tea. Now before we eat it, Melvin, we're going to let you put the sugar in it. We're going to put the sugar in since it's warm because it dissolves much faster that way. Okay? The last thing we made was our ice cream. We've still got it over there in the cooler, right, Leslie? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to take that ice cream out and eat it in a few moments. One thing we did, we washed it off. Now, to get the salt off the outside. Why did we put salt in with the ice? Who can tell me that?
To cool it down.
Okay, yes, it did cool it. What was the temperature in the bag? Do you remember when we read the temperature inside?
It was 20 degrees.
Okay, that's right. And that's about 12 degrees below freezing in Fahrenheit. It was down almost at zero. In fact, it was below zero in Celsius, about 20 degrees, 12 degrees below freezing. How did it get so cold? How did it get so cold? What did we put in there?
Salt.
We put salt. Can you think of another place where we put salt to make ice melt? Think about the winter time.
And it says on the sidewalk.
Exactly right. We put salt on the sidewalk. We put salt on streets and bridges to make the ice melt. Okay, when the ice melted, it took the heat from the ingredient, from the milk and the sugar. It took that heat to make the ice melt. Therefore, it caused those things to freeze. We used the tumbling to keep our ice cream from making a solid crystal or a solid block. That way we had lots of small ice crystals inside. We haven't had a chance to eat the ice cream yet. Was it really cold when you held it?
Very cold.
Okay, let's talk about why we wore the gloves. Why did we wear gloves? What about it, Laura?
To protect our hands from the cold.
Now, did the gloves fit very well? Let's see, I think you handled it also, Leslie.
No, they were a little bit loose.
They were loose. That was on purpose. Because inside the glove, we had a little air pocket between the glove and the hand, and your hand warms up that little air pocket to keep you from getting so cold. If we had skin-tight gloves, then we would have also had direct contact and had heat transfer, and your hands would have got even colder. By the way, did it get cold?
Mm-hmm.
So what did we do, even though you had gloves on and your hands got cold? What did you do then?
We passed it to the next person to let our hands warm up.
Excellent. Good ideas. Okay. I think we've covered most of the science involved in the solar picnic. We've done everything we need to do except one important thing. Who could tell me what we haven't done yet?
Eat it.
That's right, we're going to eat it. Okay, so let's break up the task. Laura, why don't you go ahead and fix our hot dogs? Melvin, work on our son tea, getting it sugared and in cups. And Leslie, if you'll get out the ice cream.